Hey there, I know you've been on the go, so let's just pause for a second. Can you take a deep, cleansing breath with me and release? Beautiful. Because peace starts in moments just like this one. Welcome to Moving Through Anxiety, the space where high functioning gets called out, busy is no longer a badge of honor, and you finally start remembering who you are underneath it all. I'm Catherine, the Anxiety Alchemist, former therapist of nearly 10 years, here to guide you through all things emotional, nervous system truth-telling, and the BS anxiety tried to convince you was your identity. Whether you're walking, hiding in the bathroom, or just trying not to scream into that throw pillow, this is your space. No fixing, no faking. Just real talk, real tools, and real peace, finally. Hello, beautiful, and welcome back to Moving Through Anxiety. Today, I'm going to start by just expressing gratitude for everyone who has continued to stick with me on this podcast journey. I'm just so grateful for everyone who's been listening since the beginning and has not fully accepted that I'm going to post episodes every single week. As I explained before, I've really got to follow my energy, and these last couple months have been something else for me. So I'm going to share a little bit about today, kind of where I've been on this 2-month hiatus. And I've got notes here that I'm going to refer back to because I don't want to miss anything. I had heard someone say a little bit ago that entrepreneurship is like personal development on crack, and I just couldn't agree more. I have really had to embrace vulnerability like nothing else on this entrepreneurial journey. And that's a hard word to say. So this episode, I'm going to be sharing just some updates on where the heck I've been for these last, couple months on this hiatus from the podcast, and just, kind of a reminder, or maybe I haven't actually said it in the other episodes yet, totally possible, but this podcast is designed to be very real and raw and, fairly unfiltered, definitely unedited. I don't spend any time editing or polishing, making it look pretty, and that's kind of on purpose. Number one, I don't have the time or energy to do that. Having my own business and, 2 kids and a husband, and they've got kids have activities, so I just don't have time for that. And secondly, I'm meeting you where you are, so you get to meet me where I'm at in real time. And this is kind of what it's designed for. So just kind of a reminder there. All right, so getting into the 2-month hiatus. So 2025 collectively, if you follow numerology or astrology or whatever, all the things, I don't even know specifically. I'm, not an expert in any of that by any means, but it's a year 9. It's also the year of the snake. All about closures and shedding. So a lot of shedding and rebirth. And my husband and I took a trip for our anniversary this year, and we just went camping, spent a lot of time outside. It was actually really nice, and just to have that time together too. And we were just having a conversation around the fire, and he had asked me something along the lines of, what is one word you would use to describe, this year? And the first thing that came to mind, my gut instinct was shedding. And it reminded me of also Year of the Snake and Year 9 and things like that. But that is definitely what this has been for me. And I believe I've been going through this spiritual awakening, so to speak, anyways, and going through the stages of that. And more on that in a little bit. But this year has definitely been that shedding process, shedding identities, old beliefs that no longer align with me and where I'm going. And definitely always the feels, right? And just learning how to really let go of a lot of things that I've hung on to for the last, 30 or so years, and alchemizing that into what is aligned for me in my next stage. And that has just really been something that I haven't consciously been aware of before. So it's on a whole other level when that conscious awareness is there. And So I mentioned I really think I'm going through this, these stages of spiritual awakening and really aligning with the next chapter, the next stage, aligning with my higher self. And that has really been a unique experience again on the conscious level because I haven't really paid attention. I've come to a lot of understanding of the things that I went through before. And um, that has really helped me personally understand a lot of where I was to how I got here now. And I'm going to share more about what that journey has been like specifically in future episodes. Um, but it has really just made a lot of sense. Um, and, I used to either blame myself or blame other people for a lot of things that have happened. And now I can really just accept that things happen to help shape me for who I am today and for who I'm going to be. And I can now use all the things that I've been through um, to alchemize that into, peace and power and presence. And that has been just a really great thing to be able to recognize about myself. And I've spent a lot of time learning more about who I am at my core and who God has designed me to be. And it's really just been exciting. It's been a lot of self-reflection as well and the things that I did. And just realizing that I don't have to continue to carry a lot of, any guilt or disappointments or anything along with me. Like I get to leave that here and I'm going to in 2025 and move into 2026 more aligned than I've ever felt before. Because I've been able to learn more about who I am and what I'm here to do and create and co-create with God. And that has been beautiful. I've really learned to accept that I am very different than the majority. The majority of the people around me, the majority of the people in the world, we're all unique in our own ways. But I have learned that I make up less than 3% of the population in, several different areas. And I'm not here to do things like everybody else, like the majority. And going through some of the business coaching programs that I have most recently has really taught me that. Like, I really just have to listen to my intuition. And yes, I've gotten some helpful tidbits out of those courses, learned some things that I like technical and, business wise and things that I didn't know before, obviously. But for the most part, what's most important is just following my intuition and following what God has planned for me. And it's been really great to learn how to discern that for myself, and be able to figure out, okay, what's ego and what's God, and be able to trust myself. Because in our world today, we are basically taught to not trust ourselves on so many different levels. And it's been really great to undo a lot of that and learn that it's okay to trust myself and to trust my intuition and to trust that I am doing what God has for me. And others may not understand that. They may not agree. And that's not on me. It's just not. So that's been really great to kind of come into fruition for me. And I'm excited to share a little snippet of a new program and a new offer that's coming up with my soul sister Sherina. So she was in the last episode on human design. So we're going to start working together and have a new offer called Regulate and Rise. And I'm just really excited to share more details on that, which is to come. Okay, so a couple other things in this 2-month hiatus. So it's been a lot of deep self-reflection and there's been some identity shifts, and along with that resistance, right? It's just human nature to resist change. So I'm going to talk about, so trauma just in the sense of, so psychology will call it generational trauma. The spiritual world is going to call it ancestral trauma. Honestly, it all means the same thing. Some people are more comfortable with certain terminology, but at the end of the day, it is trauma that has been passed down. And what I've learned is that there are certain people out here who, their their mission is to be a cycle breaker, to be the one who stands up and decides enough is enough. And they are here to heal and deciding to no longer passing down the trauma to their children. And, it really does stop with them. And I've realized that I am one of those cycle breakers. I have decided that I'm not going to continue to live this way, and I don't want this for my children. And I think every generation has done their bit of it, right? And, each time, even my kids, there's going to be things that I didn't get to in this lifetime, and they're going to still have to, probably work on healing and alchemizing so that, they don't continue to pass down a certain piece of it all. But um, really have done a ton of self-reflection on that piece of it and starting to educate the women that I'm working with that some of the stuff you are carrying isn't something that happened to you. It's something that, you were literally born with. The science has even shown us that going back 3 generations, that's the generational trauma. I want to say it's up to 7, but don't quote me on that. I could be wrong. Um, but I know for sure that science has been able to go back 3 generations and been able to see, you know, that the stress and the trauma and the anxiety and panic and things like that are being passed down. And that's hard for some people to understand because it's like, well, nothing happened. Like, I don't understand, right? There's nothing activated this, nothing triggered me. So why is this happening? And that's the hard part is that we can't always like bring a name or awareness to that because we can't pinpoint it. And what's important to know is we don't have to continue to focus on what happened. All you have to do is understand and realize, okay, how am I feeling? And, maybe ask yourself, where is this coming from? If you can identify it more so, is this mine or is this someone else's? And then what am I going to do about it? Am I continued to allow it to take control of me? Or am I going to release and rise? Am I going to come above this? So those are the choices. Those are conscious choices that you have to make to be able to move forward. So been really excited about that, honestly, and being able to talk about that with more women and really help free them from, these metaphorical shackles that they never put on and they didn't understand where it even came from. So, just really going through this deep dive of alchemizing pain into power and anxiety into self-trust and darkness into light. And that's what I'm here for. And that's what's, fun, for lack of a better word, for me, because not everybody else can see the beauty in that. And that's part of my purpose here is to guide women through that so that they can come out on the other side and they can see that this wasn't a super terrible thing that's going to hold them back forever. And so another piece of this has been like really showing up on social media, and really putting myself out there, being seen, being vulnerable and things like that. And I have found that easier to do hiding behind my business page, right? But trying to open up more on my personal page and just kind of get myself out there and share more with the world on what I do and what I'm here to do. And that's been a big piece to overcome. And that is like the next stage that I'm stepping into. So that is, that vulnerability piece and alchemizing all of that uncomfortableness that I don't want to feel into that power of being seen, of showing up, even if I don't feel like it and things like that. So, continue, to be here with me. I definitely appreciate that. And if you're not yet, please go follow me on all the social media platforms at Moving Mountains with KM. I'm going to mention it again later because I am trying to get to 1,000 followers so that I can go and do the lives on all the platforms. But just to kind of wrap up here, I've really spent these last 2 months doing the internal work and really understanding myself. And I've discerned that I am here to just empower women
to release anxiety and alchemize that into the peace, power, and presence. And I'm doing that by using my clinical experience of being a mental health therapist for nearly a decade and all the work that I did before I became licensed, um, and using my personal experience. I've discerned that I get to use both, and that's okay. And I'm excited to do that. So I'm meshing the two. I didn't want to be identified as a mental health therapist. That never felt aligned for me. But identifying as, being able to say I am the anxiety alchemist, like that is exciting for me. That is like a heck yeah. And really excited about that. Therapy, I have just realized, was a piece of my journey. And I understand why a little bit more now, which again, I will continue to share that piece of the story in future episodes. So excited to move forward with that. And I'm currently learning to accept and be okay with people in my life who no longer understand me, who no longer align with me, and who no longer, for example, want me in their lives. And that's okay. We all grow and evolve. Some people are only meant to be around for a short term, and that's okay. And as we grow and as we do this this evolving, part of that shedding could be people, places like in jobs or other, areas that we attend. And it could be situations that just no longer serve us. So my challenge for you is, what are you, entering this winter season, what are you alchemizing? What are you choosing to shed and not take with you into the spring? I'd love if you shared it with me. Again, follow me on all the platforms at Moving Mountains with KM. Send me a DM. Let me know for a piece of that accountability. And just to kind of put it out there to help manifest that, you stay aligned with that mission that you've set. So I would love to hear it genuinely. You can also send me an email if you prefer that. hello@movingmountainswithkm.com. I don't have any of the robots. I do everything myself right now. I don't even have a VA at the moment. So if you do message me, please expect a reply. Give me at least 48 hours so I can respond genuinely and not in a rushed state. Again, I've got 2 kiddos at home. So I do genuinely want to read them and respond in a way that is aligned for me. So if you're if you're going to find me on the socials, if you can also give me a follow. So like I mentioned before, I'm trying to get to 1,000 followers on all the things because I think at least TikTok and Instagram, I need 1,000 people to be able to go live, which I would love to start doing and being able to just get more comfortable with sharing and doing all the things. So if you can do that and then at least share my profile with one friend to help me get there, I would definitely appreciate that. So much gratitude and love sent to you all. And just kind of in closing, until we meet again, remember to keep feeling it and just keep naming it and trust that your voice will lead you through. So, Mom Truth of the Week, wrapping up Halloween and, going into the season of holidays and all the treats and all the candies. It's the time of year where we as parents like to, hide some of the treats in our bedrooms or, in boxes in the pantry or the freezers that we know the kids aren't going to go into. That's real life and that's okay. We don't have to share everything all the time with our kids, and it's okay to figure out a way that works for you. And that is definitely what I do. I bought myself, a cute little jar that I keep in my room, and it definitely has snacks in there that I don't want to share. So until next time, again, thank you so much for being here today with me.
Thanks for being here with me. If this episode sparked something, maybe a shift, a breath, or a damn that hit, share it with another woman who's carrying it all and ready to carry less, because you don't rise alone, and someone you love needs this too. And just one more thing before we part ways. You're not broken. You're not behind. You're becoming. Until next time, keep breathing, keep trusting, and keep moving through. Oh, sorry, one final thing. Just a quick disclaimer. This podcast is for educational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional mental health advice or therapy. Please reach out to a licensed provider if you need further support. Thank you.